As per your own words, as you said at an earlier date, that rezoning should be done with city planning, or upzoning should be done with city planning. It shouldn't be done block by block, block by block. If a neighborhood needs more density, it should be done by government rather than greedy developers where all they're doing is looking out for themselves. Let's not be fooled. This is not about the 5, 6, 10, 20, or whatever, 25% affordable units that they have to do by force. Would the city have allowed them to do only one or none? They would have chosen none. This is about the 75% non-affordable, which is going to drive up prices on every lot in the whole community, making all the currently affordable units no longer affordable. Thank you so much.
Welcome. My name is David Stern. I live in the community about 47 years approximately. From them, I'm over 40 years in reconstruction and development throughout Brooklyn, including Sheepshead Bay, Canarsie, Flatbush, and mostly Borough Park. I'll be very short. 10 years ago, I received a call from a broker to examine this property, which we had an eye on it throughout in the vicinity of 1232 57th Street. And at that time, I called up engineer who's working with the same attorney, Bush Friedman, and I said, I live on a property which I own, R5 zoning, is 80 by 100. What possibility there is to go for a variance? Because it would be very nice to put in an extra house instead of 3 houses. He tells me, don't even try. There is no reason economical for it. When I discussed with the broker about 123357, the property of 220 by 100, I said, listen, I can't give you an offer, I have to analyze. I right away called up my architect, and we sit down for a few hours. We analyzed the size of the property. We came up that we could normal build an R5 zoning, 10 buildings, 3-story, which approximately including, if we dig out the entire property, we could use also partially the basement, approximately 45,000 square feet, which would be 10 buildings with 3 apartments each, plus storages for each apartment, which would be very suitable based on that where the location is of this property. The vicinity of the property is very convenient for live with a passion together with the church, with the Italian community, with the Irish community, which are very close, we are with them. And so we figured would be approximately 30 units with 2 means of egress for the parking would be very suitable for our location. We invested in this community a lot of money, where we have approximately more than a dozen congregations. We have a church where we're very peaceful. We have medical offices. There is a one-way street and all kind of buses driving one way. By adding there anything more than 3-story will be completely inconvenient and raise the prices for our apartments which we live surrounding. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Borough Park President. My name is Henry Weiss. I live 2 blocks away of the proposed development. The family of 9 children. Having them out during the afternoon hours on their own, safely traveling, riding on their bike, and going for errands. The younger kids. I would be concerned about this big developer making this changing the texture of the whole of our neighborhood. In addition to raising prices, which I hope my kids will be able to buy around in this neighborhood and stay close to our parents as a family, and to continue on. So I'm really concerned, as the previous speakers have mentioned, 2 blocks away there's only four buildings that have 3 stories. All of them are two-story buildings. Taking such a dramatic change would change the entire texture and shift the picture and the way we were raised. My wife was born on that block, and my grandfather lives over there. And it's really, this is I hope the borough president will be able to do what's right and help us with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Steinberg. I live in the neighborhood. I live on 12th and 56 from 1975. I'd just like to, I did not plan on speaking tonight, but I just want to address some points that the speaker said, which really, I don't know where he gets his information. I don't believe that he has been in the neighborhood from 8 in the morning till 11 in the morning, and from 3 till 7, where he can blatantly say that there is a traffic report that says that can handle the traffic. It is impossible. Sometimes it can take you 20 minutes to go 5 blocks by car. So his report, I don't know which neighborhood he got that report in. Number 2, everybody knows that there's no parking spaces on the place in the area. You can do that by taking a study of the city amount of tickets that they get every day and every night in our neighborhood. Every pump is taken every night because there's no place. He said he's going to put 52 parking spots. Are those people going to be restricted to park only in those spots, or are they going to take our spots on the street? That's never going to happen. They will be parking on the street during the day, running in and out, and there are no spots over there. Okay? Number 3. Obviously, there was a problem with his original plan when he said 8 stories. They realized it's wrong. So they made mistakes. This is also a mistake to 5 things. They should just realize they're making one mistake after the other mistake. And we should not be party of it. We should not suffer for that. Thank you for your time.
With the full honor of respect, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak a few words. I have properties all over in the area. 55, 56, and 13, Fort Hamilton. I'm there every single day, close to 8 hours a day. The kids that go is all one way, that they have to watch out and look out for cars coming through. God forbid there will be on a small block 2 more entrances where cars will come and go. Kids will be in danger. That's number 1. Number 2, I was looking out to buy that property, but somebody came and offered almost double because he had a plan. And I had overheard that he told me he's connected well to Ed Koch, the other guy's connected in the Brooklyn apartment, 3 generations already. And to my knowledge, I know that he performs all the places where they make parties. And about one single man's greed does not have to disrupt our community. And we know for a fact, he keeps on saying that no matter what they're going to do, they're going to bring 10,000 people to oppose it. I have everybody in my deep pockets. It's going to be approved anyways, no matter what happens. So just open the eyes, everybody, for one man's greed, not to disrupt our community, and to see if we were taking a forensic accounting through his 20, 30 years, we'll see everything that got approved, how many pockets got filled, and we need justice, and the community just wants a little freedom. And it shouldn't be dangerous for our kids running in and out. 3 more entries on a small block when we have 800 buses by pickup and by coming home. In that small community, there's 800 buses on the roads every day. We don't need another 50 more cars. Parking, God forbid, 1 life will be taken of a small kid. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Ms. Mark Hershon, I live a few blocks away from the stated address. And I just want to reiterate what 2 of my predecessors said. I teach driving. I'm on the road, I teach driver's ed. I'm on the road about 8 hours a day, mostly in Borough Park. When he was showing, when the lawyer was showing the slides with the colors, he made a mistake. I don't know if it was inadvertent or not, but it was a mistake. And he said, one of my colleagues and brethren said, it's absolutely impossible. It's impossible as it is. Doesn't there reach a saturation point? You just can't keep building, okay? And I invite you anytime you want, unannounced, come to Borough Park from 8:30 in the morning to 6 o'clock at night, and you'll see what we're talking about. Thank you.
All right, and I know what you're talking about. Trust me.
At this point, there's no further comment, so this item is now closed. The Euler public hearing is now closed. I will review this application and submit recommendations to the City Planning Commission, which will hold its hearing at a later date. As a reminder, viewers may submit comments to Ask Reynoso, which is AskReynoso at brooklynbp.nyc.gov for the Borough President's consideration until Tuesday, May 19, 2023. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you so much for being here.
Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel.
Okay, so what is your side to the story?
Well, so this is a rezoning application. The existing zoning is R5. The discussion with city planning was basically that there's existing R6 adjacent to this development, the rezoning area. And the discussion was, is there a district which would make sense to allow for a step-down zoning district, something less than the existing R6 to the east and something greater than the R5 to the west. So that was determined to be an R6A. It's basically reduces the bulk from an R6 and also puts an absolute height cap. So the city planning looks at the street system in the area, they look at public transportation in the area, they look at the needs of the area in terms of units, housing, and they add all that up, and the determination was made here that it was appropriate to proceed with an R6.
So how many apartments would be in this building that you want?
This would have 46 units.
And would be any parking garage like underneath?
Parking garage would be underneath.
How many spots?
52 spaces.
52. So that would solve anyone saying that there would be parking on the street?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and actually the zoning would not require 52 spaces, but the applicant is providing that number of spaces to overly compensate for parking.
And where is it holding right now? I mean, it's basically now up to the Brooklyn Borough President when he's going to give it over to the city, and they're going to decide now based on what just happened.
Well,
here.
it's less they decide based on that. The Euler process basically has the community board and the borough president weigh in as advisory opinions, and then it goes to the city planning commission for a determination, and the city council for approval of that determination.
Okay, and I heard before an accusation of with the traffic. What was that in reference to? You had a study that said what? There would be no traffic?
So every
extra
rezoning
traffic?
application of this nature is required to submit an environmental assessment statement, or EAS, pursuant to the city environmental quality review.
Right.
And so that basically looks at all the factors in the area, the street system, publicly available transportation, the width of the streets, existing traffic, car counts. They look at the proposal for what you're bringing in. They compare that to, for example, what you could do as of right without any rezoning. And they say, is this something which on a net level would make things worse or which would not have that effect? And they determined here that would not have that effect. Part of the reason I'm sure is some of the numbers that were put up had to do with the possibility here of 44,000 square feet of zoning square feet of community facility, doctor's offices, etc., which could produce a lot more in and out traffic and create a worse traffic situation.
Have you visited yourself the block in the area? What was the traffic like in?
It was. I understand everyone's comments here, and these are people who live in the area. We're sensitive to that. It's one of the discussions we'd love to engage in. But having said that, when somebody says, well, there's going to be another two driveways coming in and out, the as of right scenario would involve more than that. Could potentially on a 220-foot wide frontage, could involve more than two points of entry onto the street system. So I think that there's a discussion to be had.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what would be the compromise? I mean, if you're going to have to compromise, if that's what it's going to come down to, what would the changes be?
The compromise would be a shorter building.
Shorter building of how many parking? Because right now you said it was 52?
52 parking
52 parking spaces. It would be down to what? Like, what would be the compromise?
No, the 52 parking spaces would remain.
Right, no, but I'm saying how many apartments? You're saying you would have to make it smaller, below 52?
That's a good question. Right now, the 46 units are accommodated in a 4 to 5 story building. So if the building was reduced even further, they could adjust the unit sizes. It would depend. Maybe they would reduce the number of units. Maybe they would keep the number of units the same, make them smaller. But
Okay. Is there anything else you want to add?
It's a process, and we find ourselves in a challenging position. We still are not only open of, but desirous of having these community conversations, so we appreciate the process.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Nick Labaris from Archimera, the architect for the project. We had originally designed this project so that every single unit could have a sukkah, which is why it was extra high, because we had kind of compacted everything, made all these terraces so everybody could have access to outdoor space, so that you wouldn't just have to be limited to the balconies. We've also really considered the way that the parking works, so that you can basically divest the street from any kind of parking consideration, because you'd be basically taking people in from one side of the site and then they'd be exiting from the other side of the site. So you're not even taking parking off the street. Like there's still like a lot of parking which could be used up on the street. So.
And how many bedrooms is this like allocated for from these 52 apartments? Is it 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3? What is it?
So it was mainly 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms.
3, 4, and 5 on all of them. It's either 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, there's a couple 1 and 2. So we've done a lot of work for the community on the north side. So we've done 744 Bedford, we've done Rose Castle, we've done several other buildings in that area. So we have a good handle on.
And was there any opposition to those when you were building it, or like how did it go when you were building it?
It's a different neighborhood. And what we've come to understand is that this is like a much more ownership based neighborhood. So everybody owns their home. So there's like a general sentiment that's against people coming in with like an apartment building, because everybody's just used to having homes. But you have this very interesting condition here because you're very close to the train. You're very close to 13th over there. So you have something which like on the merits of it, like urbanistically, warrants a little bit more density, because it's not within like Borough Park like proper. So you can handle some more density, and then it kind of tapers down, and that's what we did with the building.
And this building is geared for Orthodox Jews?
That's the intent. That was always the intent. Yeah, and the owner went to the trouble to get the 421A. So the whole thought was to set this up so that it would be like a rental project for the Orthodox.
Do you think if you decide to build like in Williamsburg and sell it, you think that would work out better, or it doesn't make sense?
Condos would definitely work out better over here. Condos would definitely work out better. Townhouses, but this is something that we've come to understand in the time. And the thing is, we thought that it was one thing going in, and maybe we didn't do enough research as to what these fine-grained nuances, like the differences between the two neighborhoods are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And one last thing, I would assume you drove in many times to that particular block.
Yeah, many times.
What was the traffic like for you?
I mean, if you go during school hours, it's a mess. It's a mess.
And on school hours, was it also tough?
No, I'm saying like during midday. Yeah, it's always a mess down there. It's always a mess.
Right, so you understand the other side. That's
There's
one of
different
the.
neighborhoods. There's many neighborhoods that are like this, and the question really is, who's going to take up the density? So it's all about figuring out the most sensible, sensitive way to infill density into these different neighborhoods. And if you have a condition like this, where you kind of have this nexus between these 2 or 3 different things happening, it's this very liminal condition. It's not Borough Park proper. It's kind of it's this weird spot. So the thought was like maybe this could be someplace where you could up this density, and for people to say that there's zero demand for rentals for young families, for families that can't afford to buy, is just not correct.
And what is the goal? What was the goal price-wise? Because we always hear the word affordable housing. What would it be monthly rentals for these apartments?
So these are very specific neighborhoods that have very specific price caps, and the guy that bought the site was very much aware of it. So you can't really charge. It's basically close to half market rate in these neighborhoods, Borough Park and also Williamsburg. So you're not charging people.
But but what's the number? People want to hear the actual numbers.
Like $45 a foot, something like this.
And how many square footage is each apartment? And if they're, let's say, from the 3.
They're big units. So let's say the biggest unit was maybe 2,000 square feet. So that's not a small rent number, but it's a huge apartment with like a backyard.
So you're looking at, just quick off the top of my head, is over
80,000 per year.
Over 4.
80,000 per year for that. So 80 divided by 12 is what? Is like 7K or something?
7 per month.
6 and change per month, 6.8. But for like a 5-bed duplex, that sounds like a good deal.
Okay.
I think. I don't know.
Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you.
Okay.